So, earlier in the season, we watched Minnesota go on a very long winning streak. Um, During the winning streak, I patted myself on the back a little bit because in November I'd been saying these guys were playing playoff hockey, and I had people saying, "Oh, they're not one of the top teams in the West, so they're not a contender yet." They go on the nice long winning streak, and everybody goes, "Oh, look, they're a contender." And then all of a sudden, all this talk of they're a favorite came up, and I'm like, "Whoa, pump the brakes a little bit." It is a weird, weird thing this regular season. The teams suddenly become favorites. I've watched Columbus. Oh, they're the favorites. And this is after Tampa was the favorites coming into the season. Then Minnesota got into that conversation. I have seen Edmonton, San Jose. We now see Chicago back in that conversation. Pittsburgh, of course. Washington, of course. Um, I'm waiting for the argument about the fact that one of the three Metro Division teams is going to be out in the first round, and that's sacrilege. That argument's coming as well. And one of the three top teams in the Central is going to be out in the first round, which is also sacrilege because the Pacific and the Atlantic suck, so they shouldn't have. It's ridiculous. It happens every year that a good team, a above 100-point team, gets knocked out in the first round. And I've discussed about how there's a ridiculous number of teams that get 100 points now compared to what it used to be and what I miss. I miss when 100 points meant something. So I decided to take a quick look at the stats. So 5 losses in a row. They have 11 goals for, 19 goals against. So the first place you look is Devan Dubnyk. Devan Dubnyk against Chicago didn't exactly inspire confidence. 0%, 0 saves on 2 shots. 2 shots, 2 goals. He was done for the night. Kemper played pretty well after him. But you're not going to rely on Kemper, and apparently Boudreau wants nothing to do with Kemper because he continues to play Dubnyk. Dubnyk had a 900 save percentage against Washington. 40 shots. 40 shots. Get it sorted out, Minnesota. Carolina, 913 save percentage. That's not bad. It's not his fault. 900 save percentage against the Rangers. And then, of course, there's a Winnipeg game where he had a 762, and people are ready to call it a day, seemingly. And yet, Dubnyk is not really all the cause here. So I've looked at the stats over the last 5 games, or during this losing streak. In Pominville's case, he only played 4 of the 5 games that I saw on the site I used. So Granlund, 3 goals, 1 assist. I'm not going to put anything on him. Staal's had 3 goals over the losing streak. I'm not going to put anything on him. Koivu, 3 assists. And then from there, it dries up. Niederreiter, 1 assist. Charlie Coyle, 1 goal, 1 assist. Zucker, 1 assist. Pominville, nothing. Suter, 1 assist. Parise, 2 assists. When your depth doesn't score, you don't win in the NHL. And in losing 6 out of 7, their depth scoring has kind of dried up. And it's funny because at the start of the year when I was doing my predictions of who was or who wasn't going to make the playoffs, I took a beating, and rightfully so, for saying I didn't see Minnesota as a Stanley Cup playoff team based on the lineup they had. And before people panic, people have already started panicking. And I've even seen ridiculous things like, well, St. Louis is going to catch them. No, they're not. Here's why. So let's just take a look at the schedule. So San Jose's next for them. Let's just say they lose that. So where's my marker at here? Shadow, see my marker? No? Okay. 1 sec. All right, I didn't find the one I was looking for, so I'm just going to use this one. Never use your teeth, kids. Ah, crap. never use your teeth, kids. Drop your marker on the floor. This is this one. All right, this is a blue one as well. Come on, get it. Never use your teeth, kids. Never use your teeth. There, that one works a little better. Actually, it's a purple marker from the looks of it. That cap doesn't want to stick on the end. Markers are against me. All right, so let's just say they lose the San Jose game. So that's an L. Let's zoom that in a little more. A little more. Can you zoom? No, that's as far as you want to zoom. All right. Well, I'll just make it a little thicker then. Okay, you see that's an L. It's either that or it's a stare. So here we go. We're drawing a little stare. Little stare. Happy little stare right out in the middle of the air. Happy little stare. There we go. It's an ugly little stare, but it's a stare. So let's just say they lose to San Jose. They turn to 6-game losing streak. They're not losing at home to Philadelphia. I'll give them a win there. They're not losing to the Canucks. The Canucks, it's full on tank. By the end of the year, Stan Smyl, Harold Snepsts, and Dennis Kearns will be their top line. Chris Odlofsson may be playing gun goal. Like they are full on tank. They're at Detroit. I can't see Minnesota losing at Detroit. Look, it's a 3-game winning streak. They're at Washington. I'll give them the loss there. They're at Ottawa. They lose there. Nashville. They lose there. Colorado. They're not going to lose to Colorado. Win. Carolina. Win. At Colorado. Win. Arizona. Win. Look at that. If things follow a almost worst case scenario, you win 7 of those games. Right now, they're at 92 points. That projects to a 106-point season for the Minnesota Wild. If somebody can tell me how the Blues can realistically get to 106 points by the end of the year, I'd love to hear it. Because when I see things like, oh, the way the Wild are playing, they're not going to win anything by the end of the year. This could be a 15-game losing streak. I can't see it. I'm not a Wild fan. I can't see it. Because Vancouver, Detroit, those are wins. Even if you turn the Philadelphia win into a loss, they get 104 points. I'm going to bring this as close to the camera as I have to point it out. Colorado twice. Twice in the last 4 games they play Colorado. In terms of back-to-backs, let me just take a quick look. They have 1 back-to-back from now to the end of the year, and that's going from at home to Vancouver to in Detroit. So right in here, this is your back-to-back. They're fine. They're fine. The Vancouver game starts at 2 p.m. and then the Detroit game starts at 12:30 p.m. So they're afternoon games. The Canucks do not fare well in afternoon games. They do not fare well in afternoon games. Worst case scenario, 106 points. Do they win the division? No. To win the division, they have to win probably Washington, probably Nashville, and keep everything else as it is. Get 110 points, and then they need some help because they're 7 points back. To win the division right now is a tall, tall order. They pretty much would have to run the table and get help. Can they do it? I don't think so. It's 11 games, 7 points back. I think that's done. But again, the doom and gloom is just as ridiculous as the we're going to win the cup talk. And it is the weirdest thing because you watch fan bases go from 3 weeks. In a period of 3 weeks, they go from, we can't win anything, we suck, to, yeah, well, we're in the playoffs, we're going to win the cup. No. And it's across all fan bases pretty much, where it's like from week to week. I remember the start of the year. Do Canuck fans remember the start of the year? I remember the start of the year. I remember when I said the Canucks are one of the worst teams in the league, and then they went on a 4-game winning streak to start the season. And boy, oh boy, was I being told, you're not a real Canuck fan because you're not enjoying this winning streak. And I said, this winning streak is fake because they can't play with a lead. They're scoring from behind all the time. Their offense is still crap. They're relying on overtime too much. You can't win games like this. It's not sustainable. And I got told just basically shut up. A point's a point. A win's a win. It doesn't matter how you get it. It's all the same. It's a win. So shut up and just handle it. And I'd be fine with that if I haven't seen so many cases over the years where a team during a winning streak gets lazy. They get lazy. I remember, I think it was Alain Vigneault was still coach of the Canucks. And the Canucks had won a game in Columbus. And it wasn't a pretty game. This was near the start of the year, too. And they asked him, they said, how do you feel about your team's game? And I'm sure they were waiting for, I feel good. We got kind of lucky there tonight. He was like, no, it was a bad game. We didn't deserve that game. We don't deserve to be on this winning streak. If we keep playing like this, we're going to lose some games here. And the media was like, that's not good talk from a coach. That's not good. And he was right. The Canucks ended up going on a losing streak, and I respected Vigneault for that. I respected him for being honest. If a coach is willing to come out and say, "Oh man, we stunk tonight, but we're lucky to get the win," he gets a lot of respect from me. It's like there's a lot being made right now for the fact that Bruce Boudreau was disgusted after last night's game, or after the game against Winnipeg. He's just disgusted. He's fed up. It's 5 in a row. He's done. He's done talking to the media. He wants nothing to do with it. It's just he's pissed off. His face is red. You can tell he's pissed off. But you know, it's a losing streak. I'm more impressed by the coach that's pissed off during the winning streak. I'm more pissed off, or I'm more impressed with the coach that says, "Yeah, I'm kind of pissed because we've won 8 in a row, but we needed overtime twice. We had to come from behind on 2 of the other occasions. We can't keep doing this. It's not sustainable." That's the coach that I want standing behind the bench. And I know Boudreau does that. So before anybody says anything in the comments, well, I know Boudreau does that. Boudreau always holds his teams accountable. I can't understand why he can't win a game 7 either. Because Bruce Boudreau is one of the best coaches in the league. I said that before the season. I said if the Wild do anything in the regular season, it'll be Boudreau's going to be a major part of it, and he deserves major consideration for Coach of the Year right now, regardless of whether they finish second in the division or not. He still deserves consideration because the Wild were coming off of a poor season, and it was seen that they had lost a lot in the offseason and that they were going to just keep going down. And every magazine I read basically agreed that Minnesota was in the tank for this season and that there wasn't a whole lot of hope. Eric Staal, when was the last time Staal was relevant? Oh, Stahl's relevant now. So, I mean, I take a flogging, and rightfully so. I will take that flogging because I said some things about Minnesota myself. I said Minnesota and Colorado were at the bottom of the division. I was right about one, wrong about the other, but I wasn't the only one saying it. And I think when you look at what Minnesota's got going on right now, it is precarious. Michael Granlund's had a huge breakout season. True. Has there been some luck involved? Sure. Do I qualify him as like up here superstar mega, Crosby territory? No. And I don't think anybody does, but I think sometimes with fans we get too excited when things are going well and we get too down on the team when things are going poorly. So if you're a Wild fan and you're getting down on the team, stop it. Your record isn't bad and your schedule from here is actually pretty sweet. They're not going to lose 2 to Colorado. They're not going to lose 1 to Colorado. So that's 2 wins. That's 96 points. You make the playoffs. There's no way the Kings get to 96 points. So playoffs, you're in. Let's just say worst case Ontario. Ricky, Trailer Park Boys, look it up. Worst case Ontario, you get into the playoffs as the second wild card. You play the Chicago Blackhawks in the first round. Good. I think after the season Minnesota's had, I think they would enjoy playing the Blackhawks in the first round. I know the regular season results haven't been great, but you know what? I think Minnesota would love that, and I think it's perfect for what Minnesota's been going through. If this malaise was to go into the postseason, playing Chicago would be perfect. Playing St. Louis would be a trap. But Chicago would be absolutely perfect. Nashville, flip a coin. I think Minnesota beats Nashville. St. Louis scares me. Legit scares me. I think St. Louis could go on a run like last year. I do. I think they're gearing up. As for Chicago, I think that would be exactly what Minnesota wants and needs right now, is a playoff series. Playoffs are completely different than the regular season, and yes, Minnesota will make the playoffs. Seeing people saying, "Oh, I don't even know if Minnesota's going to make the playoffs," then you haven't been watching the Kings because they're terrible. There's no way the Kings get to 92 points with the way they've been playing. So just cut that out. And then Nashville's going to catch them? No. Nashville's, I think they're 11 points back. I'm pretty sure. I'm going to go ahead and take a look. 16-17 NHL season. I want standings. So let's just take a quick look here. Yeah, they're 11 points ahead of St. Louis and Nashville. Give your head a shake. There's no way. There's no way that St. Louis and Nashville catch them. Like, let's think of it this way. So the best possible result, Minnesota and Nashville, the best they can do is 103 points. So for Minnesota to beat 103 points in their last 11 games, they'd have to win 6. I showed you that schedule. They win 6. That's if St. Louis and Nashville win out. Minnesota has to win 6 games. That's the beauty of having those wins early in the season and in the middle of the season. That's why during the dregs of the season, I said, hey, all the wins count. Because later on in the season, when you start getting tired, or maybe your goalie's fighting an injury, something going on with Dubnyk here, you're good. And for regulation overtime wins, they're ahead of both St. Louis and Nashville. They're 3 ahead of St. Louis and 7 ahead of Nashville. So yeah, any rumors of the demise of the Minnesota Wild have been greatly exaggerated. So there you go. There's my take on the losing streak, the 5 games of the Minnesota Wild. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. And again, I'm not a Wild fan. I'm just stating the obvious. Minnesota is still a top 5 contender for the Stanley Cup. At least all the favorites talk I kept reading, I shouldn't be reading that as much as I was before. To be a favorite, you need to have done something in the playoffs previously. Because you need to have guys that have proven they can do it. Stahl did, but that was over a decade ago. He's got to prove it again. That's just kind of the way it works. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you all again soon.